So today I have another recurring guest, somebody who stopped on before, but basically today's going to be a little bit of a different show than what people are used to. Not really so much of a mental health and life talk. More so, if you're especially a New Yorker, you'll appreciate this one. Or if you're a New York Giants fan or a New York Yankees fan, you'll appreciate this one a hell of a lot more. But yeah, I got my boy Rich here. He'll then talk a little bit about himself as well.
Awesome, man. Glad. Thank you for having me on. Something I've definitely been looking forward to for a while.
Yeah, man, this is a talk that's been needed at least, especially with the way, one, the Giants drafted, and two, the Yankees are playing right now, because both absolute fire.
Yeah. Yankees, they're a power hitting team, but the bats have been connecting. The pitching has looked a lot better as of late than what we all thought it was going to be coming into the season. I mean, you look at the rotation, it's leaps and bounds better than I think we all thought it was going to be. Garrett Cole looks to be proving a lot of the doubters, even Yankees fans themselves, wrong about how good he could be without the sticky stuff. I mean, I saw something, man, I hope I saved that. I saw something yesterday or maybe 2 days ago where it was like the worst ERA from a starting pitcher is Luis Severino, and his ERA is currently at 3.75. So, you can't really complain too much with
Not at all.
Things like that.
Especially when you have a team like the way Boston's looking right now. It's pathetic.
That's music to my ears, though. Anytime a team from Boston is struggling, especially the Red Sox, it's good.
It's very nice. It's right now, especially with the way that the Yankees took care of the Blue Jays. It gave me more confidence, because when I was at that game where Vladimir Guerrero crushes 3 home runs and against Garrett Cole, yeah, it's safe to say that both my skepticism of of Garrett Cole was there, but also just overall with how the Blue Jays looked. But then these last 2 series with them and us dominating them, it's been even more of a entertainment and an entertaining watch now. Knowing that we actually have chemistry with our team. Like they look like they're having fun out there. They're playing like they're having fun, and they're dominating.
Yeah, big time. I mean, there's still questions there with this lineup and how that's going to shake out. We're a little overcrowded. There's always somebody sitting now, just because there's a lot of talent over there. So I'd like to see how that shakes up, because you got to believe these guys aren't happy that they're sitting out, every other game. So I expect somebody to get traded. And they're definitely, when the season started, to me, it was a no-brainer that Glaber would be the odd man out, but now he's playing out of his mind. So they're all making it hard decisions for Cashman and the Steinbrenners to see what they're going to do there. But, it's just good to see. It's been a while since biasly speaking, I'll always go out and say we could win a championship. But realistically, it's been a long time, probably since their first year together when they were the Baby Bombers, that now I'm saying they could win a championship, especially with the whole thing with Judge. Obviously nobody wants to see Aaron Judge go. Aaron Judge should be retiring a Yankee. He could be
the captain.
I was just going to say that could and should be the captain. I mean, look at the way the other night ended. He's been like the only guy in the MLB with all these home runs and no walk-offs, and then he goes and walks off. It was Toronto, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was against Toronto.
So come on,
It was even sweeter that it was against basically the only team that I was scared about this season. They were in the American League. I really don't see a team that fully beats a full series, like sweeps us. I don't see a team. Like before, it was the last couple of years, it was the Red Sox, and this year when I was at that game,
Tampa's been a big thorn in the side for the last 2 years now, 3 years.
And then this season, they're another one that they look just like Boston. They completely fell off. I don't know what happened between last year and this year, but between both Boston and the Rays, it's pretty pathetic, but I'm not complaining at all because again, I love to see the Yanks shine. You know, I was talking to one of my clients who's also a diehard Yankee fan today, and when the Yankees are playing their best baseball, baseball is at its best.
100%.
Like there's no way around it. I'm sorry. Like when the Yankees are not in it for the hunt, you know, one, you got the viewership of the Yankees, yeah, but then you also got the Yankee haters who love to watch the Yankees lose. So they're always going to tune into every game like that. So the fact that the Yankees in the last 10 years didn't make it to a World Series, you know, it's going to make this next World Series that we're going to be in this year. It's going to be that much sweeter, you know, watching and seeing a whole new wave of a generation of Yankee fans watching it like the way we watched it in 2009.
But you know what though, man? Like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older. I feel like we were very lucky. I'm not even talking about 2009 specifically. I was in high school when you're just starting out in high school back when we won our last championship. But you know, we were lucky enough to watch the actual dynasty, you know, from beginning to end with the Four Horsemen and you know the Boss and back when Cashman was in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So and I really thought that we were gonna get that again. I really thought we were gonna get that again with Judge, Gary, who else was in there? I always forget my dude's name that he came up with those two, but he never really stuck around. Man.
Oh, you're talking about the second baseman?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Not Torres, no.
No. Torres actually came in the Chapman deal that same year.
Damn, I yeah, because I remember seeing the pictures of him and Aaron Judge next to each other. And it was just like, you know, damn, what was that? Because that was 2018 or 2017.
No, it was I want to say 15. It was 2016. Because I remember I was so pissed because they were getting rid of everybody. They were forcing guys to retire. They were trading them. I'll never forget watching A-Rod's last game like that, and it was a
mid-season too.
Yeah, mid-season because they kind of, you know, New York fans we're very unrealistic sometimes. You know,
I mean, look at Knicks fans.
Yeah, you know, it's a New York
Ranger fans right now. Not for nothing. The Rangers have only. I know we're not really a hockey talk channel or anything else like that, but the Rangers, it's pretty sad right now. But last night was amazing. But I'm just praying that we don't get washed out by fucking Pittsburgh. I don't want. The last thing I want to hear is a couple of my friends who are Pittsburgh friends and just Pittsburgh Fiends and suck Sidney Crosby to the life of the ends. It's just, right. I don't need to be hearing that. That's one thing I don't need to be hearing that. But aside from that. Continue.
Well, you know, it's just like you never want to see guys, especially these guys that a lot of them were for the championship team. Like Teixeira, I think Teixeira was still on the team. A-Rod, of course. We lost a lot of guys that season between just trades and forced retirement. So from that standpoint, you're like, what the hell? What's going on? How can they do us like this? How can they do these guys like this? But then you see these dudes who. I don't know about you, but I had no idea who Aaron Judge or Gary Sanchez was at the time, and these two are just coming out the gate like lights out. So pleasant surprise in the next year to go to the ALCS. I live in Texas now, so that's always something I have to hear about. But yeah.
I never want to hear that shit because that year is completely invalid as far as my recommendation, as far as my recollection.
You gotta hear the Houston Astros fans out here. They really will. They will acknowledge that it happened and still justify it by saying, you know, with some of it is true, but with it being true, you still cannot justify what happened. Could the Yankees have done some things on offense on their own end? Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact that you cheated at the end of the day. So
yeah, you had a unfair advantage and exploited parts of the game that were one. I'm not giving credit where credit is due. It was a hell of a smart cheat. Like the way they cheated was definitely smart, but at the same time, if you're a real fan, you can't count that win. You cannot count that win at all whatsoever. That is a bullshit win. It is a bullshit series. It is something that I'm so glad to see Altuve get pinged every now and then. You know, that still warms my heart. You know, when I'm playing MLB The Show, you know, every time he comes I'll risk a perfect game and then we'll be the show if I could just peen one right at his head.
Right.
But and that's just like the petty New Yorker fan in me. But first off, and then the guy that's on the Blue Jays, that was on the Astros.
Springer.
Yeah. Oh man, I was in right field too. The entire game, every time he came out for defense and he was playing right field, it was just cheer. Like, New Yorkers coming up with the most clever ways to roast this man about the cheating, trying to get his attention.
Right.
I laughed my ass off the entire time because all I'm hearing is just you got your wires on you, you tapping your trash can, just typical stereotypical shit. But it's just funny to hear that it still goes on to this day.
Yeah, they'll never live it down. Even after they got caught with the cheating and everything. I remember watching. I didn't get to go, but watching the first game, the regular season game when the Astros coming back to New York. We won, number one. That was great. And then of course, like just how the fan. There's nothing like the best markets for sports. Unbiased, objectively speaking, the best markets for sports, just because how the fans are. New York, Philadelphia, honestly, even though there's beef there as well. Just with Philadelphia is another one that if like Philadelphia, really, like if you think about it, we're not that different as fans. We love our team.
Fans don't eat horse shit though. When we win Super Bowls,
and we
don't destroy our city,
and we do not throw snowballs at Santa Claus. We do not do that either. But go very hard. Like those two markets for sure. Boston's another one.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, but Boston's and believe it or not, man. Now, especially now that I've got to see it up close more than anything, more so with baseball and basketball, but I see it to a degree with football too. Houston is actually they go very, very hard for their sports teams out there.
I believe it because we got a couple of people who are here from Houston or have lived in Houston for a little bit and became Houston fans and rep the hell out of their team. They're still wearing the Texan stuff. I don't see many of them wear Astros anymore, especially here in Long Island.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, they're very smart.
I got no shame in my game though. I drove out there last summer. Had my Yankees jersey on there. I did get a couple people while I was driving. Quick story. I'm leaving I don't know if I was leaving or if I was going to, but I was the Galleria Mall out in Houston. There's a person. This is how serious they are as fans. There's a person who's not doing so well in life with the sign up in the middle of the street, and they walk up to my car and start knocking on the window. So immediately I'm thinking they're gonna ask me for money. So I'm like, no. My girlfriend's. I'm not even looking at them. My girlfriend's like putting her hand out like she's about to give them money. I'm like, don't give them any money. I put the window down and the woman is just like, how about them Astros though? So completely, you know what I mean? Completely caught me off guard with that one. But that just lets you know that these fans do not mess around.
Damn, not even let me get a dollar and then how about them Astros? You know exactly where to hurt. Like that.
Yeah. It's something.
Exactly where to strike. That's definitely something. I thought you were gonna say something like you're gonna hand them $1 and they saw the Yankee jersey. It's like I don't want $1 from a Yankee fan.
Yeah. I was caught way off guard. That was a heck of a story with that one.
But overall, though, with this season and actually experiencing a game firsthand, like the energy in the stadium is even different now this season. I would say. Like the fans are just more into it now. Like it feels like Yankees baseball is back. Like it feels great, and it genuinely does feel great.
You got to think there's different elements to this season too. The Aaron Judge thing plays a huge role in how the season is going right now because nobody really wants to see him leave. But he at the end of once the season's over, he can talk to anybody he wants and go anywhere he wants. So when you have that looming over your head, not just as an organization, but as a fan base, there's that extra energy. It's just like the Rams. The Rams didn't have there was that there with Aaron Donald possibly calling it quits after the Super Bowl, and it's like, hey, like we want to do this to give these guys incentive to want to stay here. It's no different from what's going on with the Yankees right now and Aaron Judge, because at the end of the day, like we said a couple minutes ago, Aaron Judge should be a Yankees lifer. Forget contract talks are contract talks. I'm not gonna get into that one, but that is something that just brings different energy to the season when something like that is looming over your head.
Well, yeah, we were in right field, and all we heard every single time that Judge came out was sign the contract, Judge, sign the contract, Judge, don't leave, Judge, stay. It was just every single time he came out, and he would, for what he does for the fans there, it would break my heart to see that man in a different jersey, just because the way he's grown with the Yankees into the player that he is today. Like we talked about earlier, he went from this no-name-ish type player to who batted like 124 or something like that in the minors,
right?
Then cracking damn near, or no, he came close to 60. Did he hit 60 or did he come close to 60?
What year was that? His
2016? Was it 2016 or was it 2015?
His rookie season. His rookie season was 16-17.
Yeah, so
same year they went to the ALCS.
So that was year I thought he was going to hit 60 home runs, but I know he was in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm double checking that for you right now, but yeah, so
yeah, because I'm more than positive he was closest, because the amount of times that I called out, oh, he's going for 60. There's no way that he's not gonna hit 60. It was almost every other game. If he was playing, he was hitting a home run.
52.
Yeah, did hit 52. So I mean, even still, for your rookie season and it looked like that, and to be consistent, still hitting 20 plus every single season as a Yankee, and being a pretty dominant force in the defense as well. I mean, not that many players are able to get to his height levels when he jumps and able to rob home runs.
Yeah, like even what was it? It was the series against Cleveland, where I mean that was another great time series too, because a lot of people counted us out in that one. That was the Cleveland had just come off a World Series where they lost to the Chicago Cubs. And funny, I had a friend that was a Cleveland fan, so I was we were down, and it went into elimination game, so we were able to come back on Cleveland to even get to the ALCS. But just why he made amazing plays where he's leaping over to get saves. And also what you got to remember with Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge wasn't supposed to be the face of this team. Gary Sanchez was. Gary Sanchez was the one when they first came out that was taking everything by storm. It was just everybody else was just a nice piece. And then the following year, I mean, Gary Sanchez still had a good year that when it was officially their rookie seasons, but Aaron Judge was that dude, quickly ascended into the face of the organization.
Yeah, and he stayed that dude though, and continuously throughout his career now. Unlike Gary Sanchez, who like last year, he bat under 200. He was under 200 last season.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about Gary Sanchez too much because he was I got to get rid of that jersey. He had a special place in my heart. He was my favorite player on the team. I'm not getting choked up, I swear.
I was about to say, you got some tears coming there?
Yeah. He was my favorite player on those teams, but and I tried my best to defend him until I couldn't anymore. So
when you can only defend so much when you're batting under 200, you're nowhere near consistent, and he's one of them. Always rely on your pitchers.
He's just one of the weirdest stories I think I've ever come across in sports in general, where he was this phenom. He was never the greatest catcher, but offensively he was this phenom, and I just don't know what happened. I know they tried. They brought in different catching coaches for him to try and fix his stance and everything. I feel like maybe they did too much with that, and it affected him on offense. But we'll never know. It is what it is. Gary, love you for the early years. Is what it is, man. But Yankees are, just saw something today. First in the power rankings with the Dodgers and the Mets right behind them. Well, wouldn't it be sad? I was in first grade when we had the Subway series, the Subways, not you know the
I'm living for
Subway
it.
series.
I'm living for that shit, man. I'm praying that happens. I am praying it happens.
That'd be great. I might have to just make my way back up to New York if we actually get a Subway series.
Dude, if there's any season, even though I say this every single season when it comes down to the Mets are always a first half team. Like the first half of the season, they do amazing, and then come the All-Star break, they fall off, and then that's when they tend to more injuries happen. You know, they're not as serious anymore. So, but I'm praying this is because this is actually the first year I'm saying this now. I really do see the Mets going all the way, and I do see the Yankees going all the way.
What scares me, you know, I've already told you what scares me about the Yankees. I feel like they're the bats are connecting, but at the end of the day, they're still a power hitting team. So I want to be able to see them, you know, be able to continue this. You know, especially when you're watching guys like Stanton, another guy that I love, who just kind of swing at anything that's coming their way. So you need to see continuation. At least for me, I need to see continuation with that before I commit to it completely. But as a fan, I love it. With the Mets, what scares me about the Mets is they're winning, but when you look at all of the games that they're winning, they're all comeback wins. They're all games that they're behind and had to come back to win. And when you're playing,
what was that, 9-1?
Huh?
What was it, 9-1, 7-1, or what was the major difference that they?
There's been a couple games like that this year for them.
Damn.
But this is what I mean. Like when you especially in the MLB, when you're a team that constantly has to come behind, that's something that could come back to bite you. You're not going to, and especially when the playoffs come around, you're not going to be able to get away with that every time.
No.
But
and if they make it,
this is not the Will Ponds Mets anymore. You know, there's a new owner in town. He reminds me of Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers. He's fresh, loves to spend his money. And then he brought Buck Showalter in, who Buck Showalter's a Hall of Fame manager, right? But you would think in today's MLB we'd probably never see Buck Showalter manage a team again, but he's back and he's doing well. So
it's good. I mean, they're the first team to hit 20.
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch out for.
But I would. It's due. I mean, not for nothing. It's been what 22 years since the last Subway Series in the World Series. I mean, and New York's been hurt in the last 2 years. So I mean, what better way to bring the money attraction to New York than to have a Subway Series?
It would be something to me. I mean, if you did, the Mets are the last team in New York to get to a World Series too.
Yeah. Oh, damn. And that hurts. That really does hurt to hear. I have the same client who took me to the game. When he broke down a couple of things, he says the Yankees in the 50s, you were guaranteed. It was like, what the fuck did he exactly say? It was some of the odds, and basically saying that New York was always guaranteed to be in the World Series. And it was really that way up until the 60s. What he was saying is that like we hit like the 60s bump, the 60s, 70s bump with the Yankees. Now we're cruising into like that 80s era. And sooner or later, that 90s era is going to come back again. And I feel like this team could have the potential to become as great as that 1998, the greatest Yankee team to ever play. They could be just as great.
That's definitely something to put out there. High standards. I would hope so, but they bit me. Well, when they made the run in 16-17, I kept yelling after every game. Feels like 96. Feels like 96. It was the exact same situation. We weren't supposed to be there, but we were there, and we kept it was like watching magic. So, you know, ultimately it didn't happen. So hopefully we don't get burned like that again. But, you know, that's an interesting take for that person to say, especially because when you go back, it wasn't just you had what is now the San Francisco Giants were the New York Giants. The reason why these guys are called the New York Football Giants, because there were two Giants in New York. And then you had the Brooklyn Dodgers. So you had three. The New York Mets didn't exist at this time. You had three teams that were super solid in New York at one point. So that when you say like New York almost guaranteed to get to a World Series, like if one team wasn't going to do it, another team could.
And that's the way I feel right now with the way the Mets and the Yankees are right now. Because I feel even if something tragic happens, I'm not even gonna put that out there with the Yankees. With the Mets, if something happens and they do what the Mets do, at least the Yankees are gonna go. But it's vice versa. I'm not gonna put that. I'm not gonna say the words out there, but vice versa. You know what I'm saying here. I'm not putting that energy out there with how great I'm feeling about this season.
Yeah.
Not putting any negative karma out there, negative energy out there towards them.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you.
But to switch gears now to this amazing draft and this amazing offseason that looks like a crazy rebuild year for the Giants coming up. I am so ready.
Yeah, man. Here's the thing that Giants fans need to understand, and it's actually something if you make your rounds to the New York media that cover the Giants on Twitter, they've been saying it a lot. We cannot expect the Giants to have some type of winning season, playoff season, anything like that. They still are not a good team. They got some nice pieces in there, but let's remember these guys are all young. This is a brand new staff from head to toe. Patrick Graham is gone. Wink Martindale's in the building now. Great defensive coordinator. Can't deny that. And then Brian Daboll, who pretty much orchestrated the offense we know in Buffalo, is the head coach now running things on. It's still his offense at the end of the day, even though there's an offensive coordinator over there. And then you got Joe Shane, who also was the assistant GM at Buffalo. I heard a lot of good things about him in Buffalo as far as how much power he had over there. This is the first time, honestly, since Jerry Reese, because I'm a guy that said Jerry Reese never got a fair share, and it's what pissed me off about the Maras and Tisches with how they handled Dave Gettleman. You fired Jerry Reese in season. And you give Dave Gettleman is the worst front office executive in the history of professional sports.
Yeah, hands down. All sports.
In the history, and there's been some bad ones. Dave Gettleman is the worst front office executive in the I have to say it twice. In the history of all sports, all time, the worst. They let this guy ride out into the sunset. It was a slap in the face.
Fire everybody else, but you let that man retire, who completely destroyed this organization, and the organization itself is garbage.
With nothing to his name, Jerry Reese has 2 Super Bowls under his resume. You can say the first one, Ernie Accorsi put that team together. That's fine. The second one was more so Jerry Reese than anything. And I mean, yes, things didn't end well. I'm not saying that it wasn't warranted that Jerry Reese needed, I'm not saying Jerry Reese shouldn't have been fired, but the way you handled it compared to how you handled this, huge slap in the face. But, first, it's been, what was that, 2017? So from 2017 to 2022, that we've just had years of bad football, bad decision making. Dave Gettleman got fired because he took a running back with a top 10 pick, and then goes a year later and does the same exact thing. And I love Saquon Barkley, but in retrospect, come on, and especially. See,
it hurts. It hurts. It really does hurt to say, but I really had, when they had drafted Saquon, I was all for the hype. And that first year, his rookie season, my God, it's like, yeah, this kid stays healthy, amazing. But it's like that once he came back from that injury, it's just, it does not the same pop. It's not the same awareness. He's too scared to dive in there and get hit.
The Maras were looking at this as because. They did not expect the public backlash that they got for what they did to Eli Manning. So they did everything in their power to kind of make up for it. And that was a part of it. And I mean, I love Eli Manning. I think we all love, I got his jersey on right now.
The man got
You got
so
to know
screwed.
you got to know when to move on from a quarterback as well. They held on a little bit too long. They didn't handle anything right. I don't think if you were gonna bench Eli Manning, you do not bench Eli Manning for Geno Smith. You bench him for Davis Webb, who we knew was not the answer either. But at least let's see what the rookie quarterback has before we do. We know what Geno Smith is. We do not know what at the time we did not know what Davis Webb was. So there's that. But I don't even want to get too much into that. Those are the dark ages now.
Yeah.
This is we're in the first. Before I get off that too, Pittsburgh just went through the same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. I'm telling Kenny Pickett is not the answer, but Pittsburgh will be picking up another quarterback soon. But that's absolutely a story for another day.
Mr. Small Hands.
Right. Not everybody can be Joe Burrow. But this is the first time that it looks like we have competent decision making in that building for the first time in a long time. Joe Schoen, I haven't had any problem with the things he's done. I did not want to see James Bradbury go, but I understand that you have to make that move.
It was sad. It's sad to see him go.
But I mean, even like I'm a guy, I wanted the 7th pick traded because I'm looking to next year when I'm like, we're going to be in the market for a quarterback. We're going to have to trade up to get that quarterback. And we'll get into that as this thing goes on. But
unless Tyrod Taylor has an amazing season.
Tyrod Taylor is a very good quarterback. He's not the answer for a franchise though, as we know. We'll say this though. Every quarterback that's taken over for Tyrod Taylor, except for Baker Mayfield to an extent, has turned out to be a superstar.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that at all. And the fact that Danny Dimes now has somebody who is at least a pretty competent leader, aside from Eli.
We haven't had a competent backup quarterback since Eli. Yeah, everything. I mean, Colt McCoy was good. I'll give them that. Colt McCoy was good. But, I remember watching them pick up Mike Glennon last year. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Because you knew you were going to go to the backup quarterback because his kids can't stay healthy. So why I even see like the Giants superfan license plate guy argues with people about this all the time. Like, oh, you're already in trouble if you have to get to your backup quarterback anyway. No, like teams, the backup quarterback is – to an extent, an important position, especially when you have a mobile quarterback as your starter.
Yeah, and not for nothing, the Buffalo had it pretty down. Smart between Trubisky and it's Trubisky, right? No, it was Mariota. No, Trubisky. Trubisky, yeah. Having Trubisky being able to get out and for a QB sneak or just a mobile play, you had somebody who had legs just like Josh Allen does. So having two quarterbacks that are capable of getting out of the pocket and capable of performing QB sneaks, it throws off the defense so much because now you don't know if there's going to be play action and they're actually going to hand it off, or if they're going to go off with it, or if they're going to throw it down, or if they're going to run to the side and roll out to the side and throw downfield. Like there's so many different factors that comes down to having an actual real legitimate mobile quarterback, and that's also accurate on the run at the same time. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. I would even argue to say that now Josh Allen is starting to get to that point of while being on the run, unlike his rookie season and the season after that, I would say the man is starting to become more accurate and he's big and dangerous and fast. I see Josh Allen becoming a very big problem with over the next at least 10 years as being a starting quarterback.
Well, he's already there. I mean, especially when you look, a lot of us didn't believe in it. I'm just putting it out there. If you want to know how quarterbacks are going to turn out, just look at Chris Sims' quarterback draft rankings right before the draft actually happens, because dude has been money every time. I mean, Chris Sims was like the only person I saw. All right, so look at the 2017 draft. We were told that this is the next great quarterback class. Josh Rosen's pretty much out of the league. Sam Darnold's almost out of the league. Baker Mayfield can't find a team. And then if you look at the rankings, Chris Sims said the two best quarterbacks in this draft are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, the two quarterbacks that everybody had the most had the most criticism for. Yeah. Josh Allen, he's got a big arm, but he's not accurate. He's got accuracy issues. Lamar Jackson, is he really a quarterback or not? Well, in hindsight, look who's right and look who's wrong. So just front with that. That's just one example. I mean, even if you go to believe it or not, there were a ton of people who thought Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were not going to be good quarterbacks in this league. Crazy, huh? But it happens. But I mean, to get to what we're really talking about, the future.
Yes.
So with this NFL draft, I thought they didn't miss. I thought they hit every need possible, especially with those first two picks. Again, as a guy who wanted the 7th pick trading, can't be mad when you take an Evan Neal at 7. Thibodeau, and I had been hearing the rumors too, because everybody's like offensive lineman, they're going to go offensive lineman at 5. I had been hearing the rumors within the hour going into the draft, they're going to go best player available at 5. Houston shocked everybody when they took Stingley at 3. And then the Jets go and take Sauce Gardner at 4. So Thibodeau falls to the Giants at 5. Not only is it a no-brainer to take him at 5, I think he's going to be an impact player. I think he's going to be an impact player year one, very similar to what Micah Parsons was in Dallas. And he's going to make everybody around him better. When you think about a Dexter Lawrence.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So real quick, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this amazing company that I've now had the honor and privilege of partnering up with, Cannabolics. So for those that don't know Cannabolics is a Long Island-based company, and they are specialists in cannabis. So those that know me know that I love my greens, and I am a daily greens user. As Pat McAfee says, vitamins. I love my vitamins. And when I say that Cannabolics has had the best source of vitamins, aka CBD, aka Delta 8, and even some live rosin flower, live rosin pens. When I tell you that this is hands down some of the best CBD on the market, I cannot stress it enough that this is hands down the best CBD you will get your hands on. In particular, I'm going to talk a little bit about this freeze gel here, this miracle worker for my knees especially. Now, my knees are completely destroyed from my time in the military and also from the years of doing improper form in the gym before I actually became educated. So my knees hate me. Not anymore. Now they love me every time I rub this on. It feels amazing. Currently, I have it on right now. After a heavy, intense session with my legs, I cannot feel any better with my knees than I do right now. Usually I feel a little bit of that achiness. I feel a little bit more of that soreness, that tightness, and I'm not feeling it. It's been about a week and almost 2 weeks now, and I have yet to feel a single ounce of that extra stress that I used to feel before I started using this here. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about, for those who are wanting to get elevated, but not to the point that you're sitting on your couch questioning your day, their Delta 8 is by far the best Delta 8 on the market. It is a great high if you are looking to be active, be functioning, and be relaxed at the same time. If you are looking to invest in anything from Cannabolics, go to cannabolics.org, not .com, cannabolics.org, 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 and then use promo code Welshcare, WELSHCARE, Welshcare at checkout, and you'll save an additional 10% off. You will see these products. I'm going to have Cannabolics all stacked up behind me as well. So you amazing gentlemen at Cannabolics, I cannot thank you enough. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this partnership. On to the next ad.
I'm not expecting a winning season or anything like that from the Giants. I'm hoping to see progress in 2022. I think you should, with Dable there, you should actually get more out of you should get more out of Kenny Galladay than you did last season. I'm not one of the people that likes to poo-poo on Kenny Galladay. I am 100%.
No, you're better than me.
Well, I'm in 100% belief that you got to know what you have in a player. Kenny Galladay, like I see people complain about separation. Kenny Galladay's skill set has never been about separation. His skill set is actually very similar to DeAndre Hopkins in 50. you throw balls at him in tight windows. He was actually tops in the league at 50-50 balls. You know, that wasn't what you were getting out of him last year because it wasn't something that they were using. I mean, look at the coaching staff that you had over there. So I'm expecting a lot more there. Hopefully,
I'm hoping so, man. I genuinely am hoping so. For the amount that we are paying this man for, I'm praying that he at least gets a touchdown.
He is overpaid. He absolutely is overpaid. I love it. I love having him on the team, especially in a good system. But
he's our only tall receiver, aside from Colin Johnson.
The reason he's a New York Giant is because nobody else was going to give him that number. I guess Dave Gettleman and them were so scared about losing him to another team that they upped the offer that much. So that is what it is. But you know, look at they got this kid, what's his name, Wan'Dale Robinson from Kentucky that they just drafted.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan. I genuinely am a fan.
I heard good things. He's kind of got a little bit of comparisons to Deebo Samuel, and you know, he's almost like a Swiss Army knife type of player where you can throw him in the backfield or you can have him as your receiver if need be. You know, so there's that. Sterling Shepard looks like he's going to be the other guy. Again, Kadarius Toney, who you can hope stays healthy. That's
what I was just about to get at. I feel like this kid Robinson is exactly like Kadarius Toney, and if Toney stays healthy, to have the two of them in the corner would not only complement Shepard a lot to be able to get in the middle, but if you sub out Shepard, it gives Kenny Golladay the opportunity then to get open downfield. And that's the one thing that I really do feel that the Giants lacked on last season was because the amount of injuries that were happening to our receiver core last year that we saw nowhere near the amount of production, aside from having a lackluster quarterback. There was just it was pathetic to see games like where Saquon got negative yards by the time the game was done. And for everything that man did for his rookie career, it would be nothing but success if this team saw at least 6 or 7 wins this year with him hitting at least 1,000 rushing yards.
I want him to get 1,000 rushing yards. I do not want a 6 or 7 win season for the Giants this season. I want somewhere in the realm of 3 to 5 wins. Let's get this top 5 pick. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I heard this kid from Florida is supposed to be really good. Let's secure this top 5 pick, draft a quarterback, and move on. You know what I mean? Let's really get this rebuild kicking. Or
pick up Deshaun if he has a failed career in Cleveland.
Deshaun is not. You can kiss that one.
I'm gonna forever have a little bit of faith that some way.
That's the other thing about the Giants to a fault is the Giants way, which has been so detrimental lately. The Giants way keeps us from getting good players because they don't fit the Giants way. Like I can't tell you how fuming I was to hear John Mara say that they weren't even going to try to pursue Deshaun Watson because he doesn't fit what the Giants are trying to do. So, but you know,
a completely different generation of football compared to when they came in as rightful owners and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a completely different league. It's a completely different game now, and they're still going off these Giants way.
They never adapted, and that's the reason why the Giants have been so bad. They're finally getting out of their own way. But they gave Joe Schoen complete autonomy to run the organization, and we know now that it's not just talk because just days after the draft, a lot of people from the front office started getting fired and replacements started coming in. So we know this team is going to be made in the image of Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. And I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I even love what Daboll says about I'm not a fan of Daniel Jones per se. I've had conversations with you about Daniel Jones where I'm like, he's not a terrible quarterback. He is an NFL quarterback, but he is what he is. He's not, you can win with him, but chances are
he's our Mariota.
But that's a great comp right there.
He's our Mariota.
And they both wear the same number. Look at that. So,
and they're both fast as hell.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually liked what Brian Daboll said about that, about not keeping him on a leash. Because if you think about it, that was detrimental to Jones with, them trying to, keep him like on a leash in a sense where to try and keep the turnovers down. My expectation is if it goes how Brian Dable says it's going to go, is he's going to look a lot like how he did his rookie year. And that is a lot of good things on offense and just as much, if not more, bad. We'll see. We should see a lot of interceptions from him, and we should see a lot of yards and touchdowns from him as well.
I mean, I couldn't see him going over 4,000 yards and damn near 2,000 yards rushing if he stays healthy and this team stays capable enough. I mean, not for nothing. If the kid has an amazing season, he completely transforms into a Josh Allen. I would be keen with keeping him maybe around for one more season and then seeing him blossom. If he blossoms even more, even more an elite quarterback. However, though, if he literally has nothing, if nothing is improved, there's no reason to keep him.
Here's the thing. He can't play, especially this is something that the Daniel Jones truthers need to hear. He can't play okay. You know, he had a good season. You can't keep him if he had a good season because everything up to this point has been okay. It's been good. Hasn't been great. And when you're in the business of the NFL, running a team, you should always be in the market for a quarterback until you have a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Deshaun Watson, a Tom Brady, an Aaron Rodgers. Unless you have a Joe Burrow, even a Lamar Jackson, unless you have one of those guys, you should always be in the market for a quarterback. No matter what John Mara wants to say, the Giants do not have that in Daniel Jones right now.
No, that right as of this very moment right now with the way Daniel Jones stands, no, absolutely not. But can I see a potential career change into a starting elite quarterback with this season with the kind of coaching staff that's put up behind him now? Possibly. I'm not going to say no, but at the same time, with the type of competition that we have within our division alone, the Eagles, I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, I really, really, really hate to say it.
I'll say it for
Eagles made some smart moves over this offseason.
You know how mad the Eagles were that they weren't able to get Jameson Williams in the draft, right? They literally moved up to draft him and weren't able to do so. So they had AJ Brown was not a guy that I think was really in the Eagles' thought process during the draft until it had to be, right? So you're pairing up AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, with a Jalen Hurts, who I actually think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he's solid. I think he steadily has improved over the years. Yes, there's the issue with his throwing, and
that's an amazing running back.
Right. That's the whole reason why they made the moves that they did. It's because what you're supposed to do, similar to what the Jets have been able to do for Zach Wilson. Invest in your young quarterback. Give him the weapons to the Bills did it with Josh Allen. Invest in your young quarterback. Give him the weapons to succeed. So now rather than later, to like exactly what the Giants are going through, you should have no doubts whether he's the guy or not because he's got everything there to be able to succeed. And that's kind of what the Eagles are doing. Like the AFC East is going to be a battle between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But I if anything, I say by this time the season's over, I say the Eagles have the division, just because with the moves the lack of moves that the Cowboys made this offseason, I feel like this hurt the team even more. Just because last season wasn't necessarily a star-studded season up for them, and granted that what's his nuts was out for a couple of games. Wow, I'm really blanking on his name.
Prescott?
Yeah, Prescott. Yeah, it's granted that he was out a couple of games, but that even though he was out, even the games that he was in, there were a couple of lackluster performances from him, and it shows that he wasn't 100% there when he came back from his injury. But maybe, possibly, this season could be that complete change, and he's back to what he used to be.
Well, are you a believer in Dak Prescott?
No.
All right,
No.
so you're with it. I think Dak Prescott is just like Tony Romo. You know, he's very good. The Dallas Cowboys haven't had to invest in a quarterback since Troy Aikman. They've literally stumbled into these quarterbacks. Tony Romo, who they was like an undrafted free agent, and then Dak Prescott, who they found in the 6th round. Dak Prescott was not supposed to be the guy. He's actually had a similar, not the same, similar story to Tom Brady. And, you know, there were the New England Patriots had two quarterbacks in front of Tom Brady. Circumstances allowed Tom Brady to get in there. Dak Prescott was third on the depth chart for the Dallas Cowboys with Tony Romo and he's the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was supposed to be filling in for Tony Romo that 2016 season, and he gets hurt, and they go and throw Dak Prescott in. The rest is history. But Dak Prescott has never really been over. He's had moments. Really, he's benefited.
That's a pretty damn good games, going over 400 yards and then damn near over 100 rushing.
He's benefited a lot for what they had. They had a monstrous offensive line. You had Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. And you had some good weapons for you between tight end and wide receiver, and you know he took it and ran with it. By the way, that year they were 0-2 against the Giants, but
that's always a big smile to my face.
Yeah.
But I will say though, it's better to see our division the way it is now versus the way it was.
It's still a cakewalk though. It's still a cakewalk though. Like, because the Cowboys and the Eagles are good competition for each other. They're not great. They're still not great teams, but they're still not great teams. But they'll make it tough on teams. They'll have their double-digit wins, but you know neither team is a contender. And then you know you expect that. I think that they both go 2-0 against the Giants and the commies.
That's a whole other conversation within itself. That team and the amount of moves that they've made and who they've signed.
Carson Wentz is back in the NFC East. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's one team I know for a fact we're going to win, and it's the only team that Daniel Jones can firmly say we can. He does have a winning record. He does have a winning record against them. I think that we probably go 1-1 against them this season.
I could see it, but I also do see us going 2-0 against them just because of their lackluster defensive backfield. You know, they have a solid rush. They do have a solid defensive line, but they lack safeties and they lack aggressive A1 cornerbacks. They don't have, like, unlike us, when we actually have some pretty capable as far as backfield personnel. We've either drafted recently, you know, I want to say dogs, but we've also got some. Well, now it's different with the free safety position because I forgot we let go of Logan Ryan.
But we still got Xavier. We still got
McKinney, absolutely.
Xavier McKinney, and then Julian Love. I guess will be paired up with him now.
I'm not a fan of. I'm not gonna lie, Julian Love. I'm not.
He's okay.
He's okay. All right. I would have rather kept Bradbury. I don't know why we kept Bradbury. We didn't keep Bradbury.
We couldn't keep Bradbury because of money. It wasn't because they didn't want him there.
Well, because he was good at what he does, and he would have been a pretty solid mentor for the kid that we just freaking drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that point, you know, if our defensive line can get that chemistry together between Leonard Williams, between
I'm telling you, man, I really have a lot of high expectations for this defensive line. I think Thibodeau unlocks a lot for you. He's not LT, but he has an LT effect because everybody has to focus on what it is that he's doing, and that allows other guys to get their openings now.
It does help that Strahan is helping him.
Yes, Michael Strait. Look at that.
Strahan is mentoring him.
Mentor, yeah. So like I said, like I love it for Olajuwon, I thought it was funny. I hear everybody say all these great things about Olajuwon, and then I watch the games and never see him. But
I mean,
it,
the first couple of games, he was getting a sack every game. Like he was making his presence known. It wasn't until the tail end of the season that he kind of just like fell off.
yeah, it's good to see, man. Like again, I just want to see growth. Let's get these 3 to 4, maybe 5 wins. Let's lock that up, and let's just see good things.
Yeah, and then in the future, aside from this season, we'll see nothing but wins because when you look at all the Giants winning seasons, what were the key factors that we had? A crazy rush. The quarterbacks had no time. We had a solid backfield. We had people that were actually able to lock down the star receivers. But then we also had an elite quarterback, and we also had at least one star receiver and 2 good guys.
Say louder for the people in the back. Elite quarterback.
We need a elite quarterback. We need one. We have an elite quarterback. We already have the receivers. We already have the running backs. We now have the offensive line. But if only thing the Giants are missing right now is that star-studded quarterback.
The most important position in the game. And again,
even if we had picked up Matt Ryan for this season, I would not have been mad. I would have said that would have been an upgrade. That would have been an upgrade.
The thing is, I think that they're all in on this rebuild because that's something the old regime. Well, no, because he would have been in on Jones, but that's the type of thing in the old regime would have been on, where it's like, oh, we're rebuilding, but we're still trying to win. And Joe Shane, that's what I mean. He says everything right. And not only is he saying everything right, but he's doing everything right. It's a different story. You don't have to listen to a guy who insults you as a fan in the media every time he steps on the stage and tries to make it seem like he's smarter than everybody else when his decision making has been trash.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I will say firsthand that I was a little nervous at first. I was a little nervous, but then once the move started being made, the signature started flying. I became more confident that this team is going to transform itself into an actual contender, not this year, maybe not even next year, but the following season after that. If all of our guys stay with where they're at right now and we keep making the smart moves that we are making, Super Bowl bound, 100%.
Hopefully. Like I said, I like the coaching staff so far, I like the personnel. Let's just keep plugging away at this thing, get those right pieces in there.
I'm looking forward to this season. Like I'm looking forward to watching Giants football again. Like this is what it means. Like even though it's gonna be it's gonna suck to watch us eat shit, but at the same time, just knowing that it's just gonna be just this one more bad year and then we're off to the races. I feel very confident in our boys within the next 2 years.
Absolutely.
Now, before I let you off out of here, brother man, anything you want to plug? I know we got the rundown show. I know you got a couple of things going on with the podcast. Yeah, so the floor is yours.
We got the rundown. We're doing that weekly. Not sure if we're gonna get one before this week's over, but we still got the rundown going on. So look for that one. Usually every Tuesday around 5-6 Eastern, maybe even 7 sometimes. Aside from that, we got the Watchers Pod. Don't know if you guys have checked into that one. Me and my boy Eli, where we kind of get a chance to review different cinematic TV stuff. Right now, we got we're just getting ready to wrap up Winning Time, which is the kind of like a biopic TV show on HBO Max of the Los Angeles Lakers of the 80s. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Cooper. Yeah. Those guys. So we're getting ready to wrap that one up. I don't know if you guys are Breaking Bad fans, Better Call Saul fans. We've been doing Better Call Saul reviews since season 5. We're on season 6 now, the series finale. So Monday night we'll be doing the mid-season finale for you guys there. And we actually just recap Doctor Strange as well. So that podcast is up if anybody wants to check it out. I'm a podcast
check it out as soon as I watch it. I'm watching it this weekend, and I'll be listening to that.
Watch it, and then make sure you tune into that podcast right after. I'm a podcast guy, man. I love doing these things. I love talking.
They're fun. I mean, not for nothing. You do learn something when you do talk to some people, but you could be using this time to be on your phone or to be doing some other like lazy shit. Like you're having a conversation, and not for nothing, when you post it, some people do listen. So you're some people's sources of entertainment. So in a way, you also are providing people with some quality stuff.
Yeah, and it's like providing you with entertainment, and then like in a way giving people what things that they may need, right? Because you never know what someone's going through at the time.
Absolutely.
You may not even know that you're giving somebody something that they may need in that time. Like I know for myself, I've had my own battles in the past where I can just kind of throw something on, whether even if it's not music, it has been like a podcast where you listen to somebody talk about those struggles and things like that, and helps you out tremendously.
Absolutely. Like, especially on days where I feel pretty heavy upstairs. Like some days you just wake up and it's just, damn, the weight's really getting to me today. But instead of listening to the same music that you've been listening and drowning yourself out with, putting on a quality episode. Like for me, it's Jocko Willing's podcast and Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right.
More so Jocko's podcast. It's
I feel like I've heard you bring him up in the past too.
Yeah, because that's that man. It's all about discipline, leadership, accountability, being there for your team, but also holding yourself accountable and procrastinating days that you want to do nothing. If there's anything, if you're a procrastinator, the one thing you should always procrastinate is doing nothing, because there's always something else that you can be doing with your time, and you'll feel more I want to say fulfilled by the time the day's over if you listen to the voice of, let's do nothing tomorrow, let's get this done today, because you'll have achieved a lot more of what you had wanted to get done with your life.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. 100%.
Okay, it can't be a Welshcare episode without having some type of a little bit of mental health there.
Of course. That stuff is always needed. But yeah, that type of stuff is definitely big. And of course we got the NBA playoffs going on right now.
Yeah, and the Celtics are officially donezo. So
you think so, huh? You think so?
Yeah. I not that I think so. I know so. With the way they have looked, it's sad, it's pathetic, and if anything, this just shows. And I'm sorry, Kayson, but this just shows how bad the Nets really were against competitive teams when it came down to being in the playoffs.
Well, you're a Knicks fan, right?
Yeah, and more so of a Mavericks fan than anything else. But wow. I do support my New York team. Yeah, back when I was in ninth grade, Dirk Nowitzki won me over as a player, so that's when I kind of fell.
Wait, you were your 2013 class or
2014 class? I was supposed to be 2013, but I got 2014.
Okay. Yeah. So was it the ninth grade year when they won the title? Was that
was my ninth grade year? That was so the beginning of the season. Yeah, in the freshman center we played basketball, and then you were able to select the jerseys.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Mavericks jerseys was there still, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me get the Mavericks, and then I got the Mavericks, and then I started, people talking about people on the team, and I was like, you know what? Let me watch this team a little bit more. And then after I watched them play, and then I would see somebody like Dirk Nowitzki play, and it's just like, damn, yeah, I'm a fan. And then for them, then that's that very same team to then go all the way to the finals that year and beat the Heat. Man, like that certified my fandom for them.
They also have one of the more impressive runs to the title too, because everybody will talk about how they knocked out the Heat to win the championship in the finals. They also had to beat the Lakers during that series. I think they had I might be mistaken, but I think they even went through the Spurs in that postseason as well.
I'm pretty sure you're right on that. I remember.
And Oklahoma City. So who at the time had James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant on that team with Serge Ibaka. Was Reggie Jackson on that team?
You really think about some of these teams in the past, man. It's like, damn, now where some of these players are.
My goal in life is and that's one of the things that like we're hoping for with this Watchers pod is to be able to produce 30 for 30. 30 for 30s are like the pinnacle of sports documentaries. There's always great sports documentaries in general, but there's nothing like a 30 for 30. I already have my list of everything I want to do. Like I need one on the Oklahoma City.
Put that out there.
I need one on the Oklahoma City Thunder. the best that never was. The Miami Heat, because that's a story that needs to be told, because it literally changed the way that things are done in professional sports today. With in the past, it was all about, front offices controlling people's destinies, where LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh turned it into, no, we can control our own destinies, and we can go where we want, and do what we want, and play where we want. And that was just a whole different era. I'm sure you remember watching. I feel
Absolutely.
like basketball as a fan in general, it's exciting. There's nothing like the NBA, but I still have never caught the feeling that I had in those 4 years that the Heatles were together. So that's another one. That's another one that I think needs to be done. I mean, even to an extent, I mean, because we've got documentaries on it. I would love to see a 30 for 30 on the Giants, like specifically focused on the Giants Super Bowls. Like we've gotten like the generic, end of the year documentaries that they do where they cover the football life stuff.
Yeah.
And then, Tom Brady has the man in the arena stuff out, where he's kind of talked about it on that other side a little bit. But I'd love to see,
like there's one about the 2007 season, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty positive.
30. They're
not 30 for 30. No, not on YouTube video. Yeah, but
I'm specifically talking about like 30 for 30s.
Yeah.
Like that. I think the 90s Houston Rockets deserve one. That's a team that I think a championship team that I don't think gets talked about enough.
No.
They actually do have a documentary, but again, not a 30 for 30. I think the pinnacle of sports documentaries is 30 for 30. So I would love to get into a bag where I can actually get to produce those. And I tell people all the time, like, my partner Elijah, who I've known literally since we were babies, I'm like, you guys don't even know it. I got one of the best directors sitting right next to me. You guys don't even know it yet. So I'm just like, man, let's I'm trying to speak it into existence to make it happen. You know what I mean?
No, and somebody like yourself can make it happen. It's because you're driven for this shit. Like, and when we talk about 30 for 30s, there's also the fact that they're also able to correlate like entertainment and sports together. Like, for example, one of my favorite 30 for 30s of all time came out recently, and it was the Nipsey Hussle one. And
I didn't watch that one. I didn't even know
that. Oh man, if you need to it's a 4-part series. It's a 4-part series, and I believe it's only through podcasts, like you could listen to it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I don't listen to the last podcast one I listened to was the one that they did on the Donald Sterling Clippers thing. And I thought
listen to this one, man.
Ramona Shelburne was narrator for that.
Yeah, that one was by far, just listening to it. I was listening to it in my car, listening when I got home. I have the the Amazon device here. I don't want to say her name because she'll go off.
Right.
So I had her play it also, and I listened to it, no lie, 5 times in a row. I start back from episode 1 again. It is broken down so flawlessly, and how Nipsey Hussle affected sports world as well. And then they also broke down the infamous picture of when the beef's going on in the court and Nipsey's got his pants up, ready to go. But
yeah, that Lakers game.
But reality was he was just picking up his pants. He wasn't ready to fight or anything. But it was just the people know the kind of person Nipsey was. But yeah, that's another one of the 30 for 30s. That's my all-time favorite 30 for 30. And I always have Sports Center on. If I have TV on, and I rarely have my television on if the NFL is not on usually, it's Sports Center for the most part, or Pat McAfee show.
Pat McAfee show is great. Sports Center you got to have on because it's a classic, especially like people like some of the greatest names in sports broadcasting history are Sports Center alumni. You think of like Rich Eisen,
you just think of Sports Center now, you think of one man, Stephen A. Smith now. And that man completely transformed.
Stephen A. Smith had his own Sports Center at one point. Like he was doing the NBA pre games. And Scott Van Pelt, and Scott Van Pelt, who's been doing those for years. Now he's got the late night sports center. You know, why am I getting drawn like blanks on all these other legend names?
It's just a name. It's just a name. It happens. This shit happens.
Yeah.
But I know what you're trying to say though, just because like it's the pinnacle of sports
Stewart,
broadcasting. It's the pinnacle.
Yeah, literally, it's like Scott Stewart, one of the greatest all time. God rest his soul.
But to bring it back to Pat, you have somebody like Pat who completely changed the game when it comes down to the sport broadcasting stuff. He was able to, not leave a successful career as a, punter in the NFL, and then completely transform himself.
Especially as a punter.
As a punter,
you don't see punters or kickers on doing it on TV like that.
And as successful as he is, and now he's also, SmackDown commentator. He got a chance to, be in a match at WrestleMania. He got to drink beer with Stone Cold, like. And then not only that, the FanDuel deal that he signed, man, this just gives nothing but more motivation for people like us who do this kind of stuff.
Doing it on his own terms, because everybody's introduction to Pat McAfee as a broadcaster was ESPN. He was doing the Get Up stuff early, and I heard him talk about it where like the deal was presented to him by ESPN. Where he was like, the money didn't make any sense. Not only did the money not make any sense, but he was gonna be on ESPN Plus at like doing a live show on ESPN Plus at a time that nobody was gonna tune into it. So he went off and did his own thing, and it's completely worked out for him.
Yeah, I would say so, but it's just bigger dreams and more aspirations for people like us. But with that being said, brother man, again, I can't appreciate your time. One more time. Where can they find you? Where can they find your channels? Instagram, YouTube, like what we're looking at. Where can they find you?
So Instagram and Twitter, Rich Report 94. On Twitter, of course, we got we got on Twitter at WatchersPod DD, and then again on Twitter is rundown show _. Instagram wise is going to be Instagram wise is going to be the Watchers Pod on Instagram, and then rundown show, straight up rundown show, and that's exactly where you guys can find us. And of course, again, if you want to get us on YouTube, you just type in the rundown with Kayson or Rich, will come right up.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, this has been a new type episode for Welshcare. Every now and then we'll do these type of things just because both people here are very passionate about our New York sports and just sports in general. So it's always good to have these type of conversations, but also have them recorded because we know there's a lot of people in New York who can relate to what we have said over here today.
For sure. Absolutely.
But I appreciate your time, brother, man. Looking forward to the next one.
Of course, man. Thanks. Same to you.
All right, guys. So real quick, we're going to talk a little bit about your next protein purchase, which is going to be the Jocko Milk. So you're going to go to originmain.com. You're going to use promo code WELSH10, WELSH10 at checkout for 10% off your order. You're going to order yourself some Jocko Milk, and you're going to save yourself some money at the end of the day. If you find that you're buying yourself probiotics, digestive enzymes, essential amino acids, aka EAAs, or protein powder, and you're buying all that separately, and if you're buying at a high quality rate, chances are you're probably spending anywhere between $120 to $200. Jocko Milk only costs $44.95 at originmain.com. And then if you use my code, like I said earlier, WELSH10, WELSH10, for 10% off your order at checkout, you can save yourself 10% off on top of getting yourself the best tasting and the best quality protein that's on the market. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Hope you have a great one.